This is the first one I think that's going to land me in a lot of hot water. But I thought it was an interesting question. Right. So obviously I have different categories, and this is the first one that's came out that's been within politics. There's gaming, entertainment, LGBTQIA, health, lifestyle, and sport. Now, this is the first one that's came out that is politics. So let me start by saying, everyone's opinion, I respect you all deeply. If you want to see me live doing my gaming stuff, it's www.twitch.tv/Barrett87. Please bring the love, not the hate. But other than that, you're all welcome. Now, first and foremost, the ones I dismissed when I was thinking of doing this, when I saw the question, was all pets should be treated as human. So if you hurt a pet, it's as if you hurt a human. There was also ones that included housing. So housing in cities should be taller. But I don't think many people agree with that one. But we can go on to that another time. Maybe I'll put this question back through. An age and term restriction on MPs and tax breaks for doing charity work was the four that I turned down on my opinions as I was writing these laws down. But I have this one, and I think it's a lot more important. I only have 3.5 minutes left now to talk about this, and it's forecasters have to reveal an accuracy rating. An accuracy rating for a forecaster, I think, is deeply important because forecasters can very often just be like, "Oh, what a shame it didn't come out, it didn't work out. I made it happen because this reason or that reason." But then they will come out and say that this definitely would have happened if we had took a different course of action. That's not how it works, because if you had took a different course of action, 3 other things may have happened, and it may have changed this, that, or the other. But how can we have a system that says your forecast, as a forecaster, you was right 10% of the time? Now, if you are right and you are on the money, you get plus 3 points. If you are within 0.25 of your prediction, you get 1 point. If you are within 0.5, depending on the variability of your option. So this would change depending on your variability of the options, obviously. And I could go in a lot more detail on this, but I realise I'm struck for time here. So you then have, but then if you are more than these numbers out, so let's say the first number was 0.25 and you got a point for that. If you're more than 0.25 out, you get a negative point against your marks. Now, this would, and only forecasts within this last 2 years would count. So if you had made a forecast 3 years ago, and which was dead spot on, that drops off your record. Imagine the FIFA affiliation ratings, because after 5 years, you think it drops off the record. So, and obviously you're going to have a turnover of staff. You're going to change how you're forecasting. So you don't want a lot of bad stuff from 3 years ago for people to discredit you now. I think it would just encourage a bit more honest forecasting, because I think, as I mentioned with journalism, there is a bias, and the bias within forecasting is something that's quite large. Because if somebody is paying you for scientific research or forecasting purposes, then you want to give them what they want. You want to give them the information that they want. If smoking companies, etc., so forth, they wanted an outcome, and this is what happens with forecasters, I feel. So whether we're talking about the forecast of an economy or anything like that, and I know that many of you will be like, "Oh, look at this is what we should have had if we had stayed in the EU," for example. That's a question that I'll put on the list. But yeah, as I say, that's a different thing, and it's a lot. You can't sit there and say this is what would have happened if your forecast rating is really low, and if those things that you could have proved haven't come true, then why should we respect your forecast as saying something that we can never actually prove? We don't have a time machine. We can't go to a parallel universe. We can't do any of this. So you get away with saying that this what would have happened when you've been wrong this many times. I think that's deeply wrong. But what's your opinions? Comments in the down below. Now, with 20 seconds to go, I say thank you very much. What would your one law be? What would the one law that you would introduce be? If you want to see me live doing my gaming stuff, it's www.twitch.tv/Barrett87. Now, I hope you have a fantastic time. I hope you stay safe and stay well. Remember, an opinion is just that. It can alter for everybody. It is always different. Thank you and goodbye.